Lost brought back a memory for me. This is the first segment of the 9th episode of the second season of Arthur. And in this episode, Arthur goes onto the real bus, as Francine and Buster call it, to go to his swimming class. It's the real bus as opposed to the school bus, which picks them up and drops them off at the school without them really needing to do anything. Whereas navigating a real bus, you have to pay for your fare, sit down, and make sure you get off at the right spot. And unfortunately, Arthur fell asleep and missed his stop. And it actually starts off with DW receiving a phone call from Arthur's swimming teacher saying that he never arrived. And then the story is told from Arthur's perspective about what happened when he got on the bus and then the problems he faced when he got off the bus at the end of the stop, realizing that he had no money to get home and he didn't know what to do. And there are so many important lessons in this one. There's a very direct one where this very lovely lady who Arthur had met on the bus offered to give him some money for his bus fare, and Arthur says, my father told me to never take money from strangers. And the lady agrees that that was good advice, and that's obviously a really important lesson. But it is kind of, questionable because Arthur shouldn't take money from strangers like this. But at the same time, if it meant it was his only way of getting home, which at the time that looked to be the case, maybe he should have taken some money from strangers. But I don't know. It's a big question. But in general, it's a really important lesson and something that parents should discuss with children. But the main message here is that it's important to ask for help because Arthur admitted himself that he kind of thought about telling the bus driver that he had missed his stop, but instead he just got off at the end of the line and kind of looked around aimlessly, not really sure what to do. And if he had asked for help or explained the situation there and then, he would have realized that there are people there to help him, especially because he's a child. No child is going to get off at the wrong stop and the bus driver is just going to shrug his shoulders or her shoulders and say, well, you've got no bus fare left, so tough luck. That's not going to happen. So it's important for young viewers watching this to know that, yeah, it's scary if you've got no money and you want to get on the bus. That's daunting. But more often than not, people are just going to be there to help you. I think the way the story was told was really effective. It was very entertaining. For me as an adult, I found it really enjoyable. And as I said, it did trigger a memory for me when I was, how old? Maybe 12 or 13? And it was quite late. Well, it wasn't that late in the evening, but it would have been around winter time. And my cousins were supposed to meet me at a bus stop and they never did, and I didn't know which bus stop it was. They were going to stop the bus and get me off, if that makes sense. And they weren't there, and I ended up going to the middle of nowhere, quite frankly. And I actually can't remember how I got out of that situation. So it's kind of a half memory. But certainly this thing does happen, and it is an important story, and I thought it was very well told. Very enjoyable. I loved the way the parents treated DW in this one. There was a moment where Arthur's mother was really upset and crying, and I think that's really important to show as well. That it's not just the children in that situation who are affected by this, but also parents who receive a phone call saying that their child hasn't arrived wherever they're meant to be. It's going to affect them too. So I think all round it's a really solid episode with a lot of important messages and a lot of relatability. For me, so far, I'd say Lost is one of the strongest episodes of Arthur.